It was supposed to be historic, a moment in time that the world's cameras would never forget. On a bitterly cold January evening, in the remote reaches of Alaska, an unprecedented meeting had been arranged. Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump, face to face in a private interview, away from Washington, away from Moscow, and far from the eyes of political advisors. The stakes were monumental, what would be said, what deals would be struck, what secrets would surface. But instead of history being made, what unfolded became a mystery so chilling, so shrouded in secrecy, that some insisted as all the hallmarks of a cover. A small, isolated research facility had been chosen for the meeting, surrounded by nothing but snow and silence. It was a perfect location. Quiet, discreet, impenetrable. Inside, cameras and lights were set, waiting for the first words to be exchanged. But as midnight approached, the broadcast never aired. The live feed went black before it even began. And outside the walls of the facility, strange things were already in motion. Witnesses later reported seeing convoys of black vehicles pulling up to the compound, some carrying security personnel, others carrying equipment never identified. Local Alaskans swore they heard helicopters in the sky, circling for hours, before disappearing into the night. And then nothing. The building was left empty. The interview crew, the interpreters, the aides, even the leaders themselves, gone. All that remained inside the compound were half-eaten meals, scattered notes, and a single overturned chair, as though someone had left in a hurry. The cameras? Wiped clean. The recordings? Vanished. The truth? Locked away in silence. Authorities insisted it was a miscommunication, that the meeting had been postponed, and that nothing sinister had occurred. But those closest to the staff who vanished painted a darker picture. Families of missing technicians and aides began to speak out, claiming they had not heard from their loved ones since that night. As investigators pressed deeper, strange inconsistencies appeared. Travel records didn't match. Phone logs were altered. Security cameras around the facility had been tampered with. It was as if someone had meticulously erased the night from existence. But whispers began to circulate, rumors of what the interview was meant to expose. Some claimed Trump had planned to reveal secret dealings with Moscow. Others believed Putin had come with threats, prepared to hold information over his American counterpart. And still others swore the interview had nothing to do with politics at all, but with something far darker, a secret both men wanted buried. To this day, speculation has consumed those who dare to investigate. Some say the Alaskan wilderness swallowed them, that a staged disappearance masked a tragic accident. Others believe both leaders were extracted under duress by shadow forces, agencies working in the dark, ensuring the world would never hear what was said. And the most chilling theory? That the interview did take place. That every word was recorded, and that somewhere, hidden in vaults or servers, exists a conversation so dangerous it could unravel everything we thought we knew about global power. What was meant to be history became mystery. What was meant to be seen by the world became buried in silence. And for those who search, the icy Alaskan winds carry one haunting reminder. The truth was there that night, but someone made sure it never escaped. On the frozen edge of the Alaskan wilderness, where the night sky burns with auroras and silence stretches for miles, the world was promised a moment of history. The date was kept secret. The location, even more so. But whispers spread among journalists and political insiders. Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, alone face to face, away from the prying eyes of Washington and Moscow. It was to be more than an interview. It was to be a spectacle. Cameras ready, translators prepared, security doubled. The stage was set for words that could change everything. But what unfolded instead was not history. It was mystery. And it has haunted investigators, journalists, and conspiracy hunters ever since. The facility chosen for this unprecedented interview was not a grand hall or presidential palace. Instead, it was a research outpost, half buried in snow, carved into the lonely Alaskan landscape. Some argued it was for security. Difficult to breach, difficult to observe. Others claimed it was psychological, a neutral ground where both leaders could speak without the weight of flags, seals, or institutions pressing on them. But those who lived nearby, the handful of locals who glimpsed the activity that day, noticed something unusual. Black SUVs cutting through the snow. Supply trucks loaded with equipment. Helicopters circling overhead long after night had fallen. Inside, the crew worked frantically. Cameras were tested, lighting adjusted, interpreters rehearsed. A meal was served, half of it never eaten. And then midnight came. The broadcast countdown began. And suddenly, everything stopped. The live feed that had been prepared for an exclusive global broadcast never aired. Screens went black, radios cut silent, and the facility itself, buzzing only moments before, fell into stillness. By dawn, the compound stood empty. No aides, no translators, no technicians, not even the leaders themselves. On the tables, coffee cups still steamed. In the control room, headsets dangled from their hooks. In the dining hall, plates of salmon and potatoes sat untouched, frost beginning to creep across them. One chair lay overturned near the main conference table, as though someone had risen quickly or been pulled away. But the strangest discovery came when investigators accessed the facility's security systems. Every camera feed, every microphone, every hard drive, completely wiped, not damaged, not destroyed, erased, as though by someone who knew exactly what they were doing. Official statements were swift and unconvincing. Government spokespeople in both Washington and Moscow dismissed rumors. The interview, they insisted, had been postponed. There was no emergency, no disappearance, no scandal. But for the families of the missing staff, the camera operators, the translators, the sound engineers, the explanations were not enough. Their loved ones had boarded planes to Alaska. They never came home. Investigators sent to the site reported strange irregularities. Flight logs altered to show aircraft that never landed. Phone record scrub calls made that night. Security footage missing not just from the facility, but from nearby airports and highways. The deeper they looked, the more it felt less like a cancellation and more like a cover-up. What was supposed to be said that night?